everyone. Welcome to another episode of our Secure Dental Podcast, where we bring in many bright talents from our dental industry. Today, we have a very, very special treat. I got this gentleman here. I mean, this guy has been like my lifesaver in full arch. But before we get started, I would like to shout out to our sponsor, Dentvia. It's a dental virtual administration company that helps our front desk staff supercharge them with back-end calls and back-end tasks. So definitely visit them at www.dentvia.com. Again, that's DENTVIA.com. Now, without further ado, I got Dr. Jonathan here. He's a world-renowned double board certified implantologist and has revolutionized the dental implant experience with the XCell Implant Process. With over a decade of experience in full mouth rehab, Dr. Jonathan has harnessed the latest digital dental technology to offer faster, more predictable, and superior quality service from his state-of-the-art office. Dr. Jonathan, the brains behind the XCell Implant Process. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So, Doc, how did you get started with dentistry? Let's go back in dental school.
So it's actually quite interesting. A lot of people, they go into these fields because they have some sort of experience when they were young. So they say maybe you go to the army, you go to the police, you become a police officer maybe because you were bullied or something. I would think maybe you become an MD because, you had somebody in your family maybe was sick, or you had some experience at the doctor that decided that you wanted to do something about medicine. And if you were a dentist, maybe you got hit by a car, or you had some crazy dental experience that made you love it. But to be honest with you, I've never had a cavity in my life. I went to pediatric dentist my whole life and just had cleanings. Never really had my biggest dental experience was at the oral surgeon to have my wisdom teeth taken out like every other 17 to 18-year-old kid. And I decided I'm going to go to do dentistry because I like people. But before dentistry, I thought I was going to be a computer science major. And then I realized I really like people. I like technology, but I really like people also. And there was nothing in technology 20 years ago when I became a dentist. I mean, the biggest thing was a Diagnodent. That was like, wow, that was huge. And maybe Dentrix had come out and we can actually not have to write our full chart. Like you had like hybrid charts. But I said, I'm going to be a pediatric dentist because that's what I know about dentistry. And I did an externship of pediatric dentistry in dental school. And I swore to myself that I don't want to sing "The Wheels on the Bus Go Round and Round" for the rest of my life every single day. So I really looked into more things in dentistry, and I couldn't find anything that I loved more than the other because I just loved everything. And that led me to where I am. And people ask me, like, how did you do this? And I said, I went back 20 years ago. We had this class in dental school that said to us, write down your mission statement. Write your mission statement about why you want to become a dentist and what is your business going to look like and what's your practice going to look like. And I read it till today. I found it and I read it till today. And the major topic was, or the major theme was, change the brand of dentistry. Because I was so tired of hearing, no offense, doc, we really don't like you. And that's like the most offensive thing, because if you're a dentist,
right,
and you really care about your profession, you know how much we think about it, how much we dedicate our life to make the patient experience the best. I mean, listen, I'm not the one that makes the Septicane taste really bad. I just buy it. I mean, I'm sorry, anesthesia tastes bad. And I wish I'm not smart enough to make it taste good. And yeah, so like I really said, you know what, when I started doing full arches, I said, there is no way I'm going to be taking these Oprah tray impressions, cutting up these Invisalign trays, ordering a custom tray, hoping that I find those holes before the PVS or the polyether sets, and do this again. And then when I take it out and send it to the lab either loses my impression or they mess up on the pour, and then I got to redo the whole thing again. And I was so tired of apologizing to my patients for things I didn't do. And that drove me nuts. On the other side, I felt kind of a hypocrite when I put in a beautiful restoration and I didn't make it. It was only my lab technician. And I'm like, yeah, I'm great. Take a look. It's like when doctors show their case and they show the before and the after. I'm like, the before, your staff probably took the picture, and the after, your lab technician did. So what did you really do? You cut the tooth a bit. You took an impression. I mean, it's kind of hypocritical. And I was like, wow. And I don't have a problem with those before and afters, but like, if you didn't do it, like, tag your lab. The guy or the gal worked really, really hard. Tag them. Give them the credit.
Man, I
They'll
love
take it
that.
off. Like,
I love the statement.
it's like, it's crazy. So as you guys know, like, I'm the surgeon, I'm the restorative dentist, and I'm the lab technician. I'm the guy that runs the mill. I'm the guy that sinters it. I'm the guy that does a lot of it, and if not all of it. And I don't know. I guess I sleep better at night.
No, that's an excellent statement because, a lot of these before and after, and I think you're the only person who called out that shot. So I love it, man. I love it. So after graduation, did you guys go right to, your own practice? Did you work as an associate? What was the process like for you?
So, like I told you, I had nothing that I wanted to only do. So my dream was always to be a periodontist and a prosthodontist. And I applied to perio-pros at Penn, where I went to undergrad. And they accepted 2 people, and I was one of them that they accepted. And they had changed the dean, and that was the year that all graduate funding was gone. So I went to Penn. I wouldn't have a scholarship. I paid for 4 years of dental school, and perio-pros was another 4 years. And I said to myself, oh my God, if I go for another 4 years of perio-pros, even though I was recruited from the day that I started to do this, I said, my God, I'm going to finish with $500,000 in debt then, which is almost $1 million today, probably. Easy. And I said, well, I can't do that. I tried to speak to the dean. There was a new dean from Harvard. She said to me, oh, you want a scholarship? No problem. Just dedicate 7 more years of your life after school here. I'm like, 4 years of dental school, 4 years of perio-pros, and 7 years of academic teaching. I'm not going to do this. So I started looking for other programs, and Florida was the first and only pros program in the country that allowed prosthodontists to place implants. Now they have to place implants, all pros residencies, to be able to graduate, but it was the first one. So, and they offered me a full scholarship. I got to school, and the implant director was fired. The pros director was fired, and my scholarship vanished. So I said,
wow,
well, I'm not going to leave Penn to come to this school. I'm not going to stay
school, right?
Not even. And I stayed there for 6 months. I was married. I had a kid, and I said, I'm out of here. I went and I did a part-time implant residency with Dr. Miller at the Atlantic Coast Dental Research Clinic. I did that for about a year. And that was really like, it was so little. People think they take maxi courses and they're going to be implantologists. I mean, you got to practice. So once I left there, I was working in Florida. I worked for 7 or 8, what you guys call DSOs today, or DMOs. And I got fired 7 times. And wow. And I got fired 7 times, not because my dentistry was bad, was because I didn't want to do bad dentistry. And I'll never forget, on the last day of my job, the head of the DSO said to me, Jonathan, just shut the F up and do what I tell you to do. And I said to him, I'm really sorry, but I worked really hard for my license, and I'm not going to use some lab technician who does this in his garage, and I don't know what the hell they're doing or how they're coming, and I'm not proud to put this in people's mouth. And a high-end lab for a DSO then was Glidewell. Like, they're like, you cannot use Glidewell, too expensive. And that was $99 then. And I said, this is enough. It was 2 years after dental school. I probably had like $30 to my name. Maybe.
Wow.
Maybe. Plus my dental school debt and everything. And I was like, I told my wife, I said, I don't understand. I went to the best school in the world. I have nothing. I have all of this skill that I learned, and I can't do it. And I decided to open the New York Times, that's how you found a job. And I found a practice in New York, New Jersey, actually. And I said, let's go. I bought it, sight unseen. I lost 40% of the practice within the first 3 months.
What was that?
Nobody likes to do nice dentistry. They like when you buy a practice from a dentist who just patched everything or just watched
Right.
everything, and then you come in, do digital x-rays, redo the office, redo everything, and start diagnosing all this dentistry. People that just want you to diagnose what their insurance covers, they don't like it. And when you don't have the communication skill, especially when you come out as a dentist, you think that you're talking to teeth. You need to talk to people.
Wow, that's huge, man. That's huge. This thing, what you just said, I think that's gonna help so many people.
Yeah, like when you come out, you're trained by people that can't do most of the time. Most of the
Right.
dental professors, unless they're passing through or doing this for fun because they've already been successful, most of them are just there because they're stuck there, and they don't teach you how to talk to people. Or you're just so busy in dental school you don't learn how to talk to people, and you talk to teeth, and you start saying, well, the occlusion and the curve of Spee and the curve of Wilson and the non-balancing occlusion and the non-balancing contacts and the
Right.
protrusive movement, and the patients are saying, well, what are you even saying? And my big thing is when I talk to other people in other professions, they start to talk to me about this, and I say, listen, man, I'm a dentist. I don't know anything else. Explain it to me again, because if you want my money, I better understand it. And if I don't understand it, you're not getting it.
Love it.
And they get very frustrated. People get very frustrated in other industries because, like, what do you mean you're so difficult? I'm like, you tell me, why does my HVAC need to be replaced if it's working? Tell me why. And I'm having my HVAC replaced right now in my office. Why? And people think that, they start saying, hey, heat transducer and the blower. And I'm like, I don't know what any of that means. Like, explain it to me. And we do the same thing every single day. Like, you do not have to read your consent form to the patient. You need to talk to them as if they were your brother, they were your sister, they were your mother, they were your father, and talk to them like a human being. That's all people want. It's the most vulnerable thing to sit in a chair. They're not sitting in a chair like this. They're sitting in a chair like this,
Exactly.
and it's so vulnerable. And you're just like, you expect them to say yes to you. And getting back to, I lost 30 to 40% of my practice that I purchased. And the history was from there. Like they say, before something great happens, everything has to fall apart.
Would you say that was like your bottom part of your life? Like, you lost
The bottom
everything,
part
you
of
were
my
married.
life, and not I didn't care about the patients. Really, the biggest thing in my life was my dream was to be a Florida dentist. I came from Canada. It was freezing. I want to live in the sun.
Right.
And that was my dream, to do cosmetic dentistry in Miami, Florida. And I had all of this skill, and I worked so hard to be the best at what I thought I was. And nobody gave me the opportunity. I was just another associate. What was nice about being an associate is that I used to come in with my coffee, my newspaper, and my bag, and everybody was happy to see me. As opposed to today, not my staff, but I'm assuming a lot of people, they come in, everybody runs away. Oh shit, the boss is here.
Yeah.
It's a different mindset. And associates, they don't get it. When you're an associate, you're living by today. And that's one of the problems that associates have. They say like, well, how much am I going to make today? And dentistry is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And there's going to be days where you're not going to make any money. And there's going to be days that you're going to lose money. You may have to write a refund check. You may have to redo something at your own cost. That's just the business that you're in. But if you understand that you build relationships with people, it's like, when I first started, I wrote a book. It's called The Trust Factor, about building trust with people. And I used to teach about all of these ways to talk to people in the hygiene room, how to build trust with your treatment plan. And, today, like almost 20 years into this, I really don't have to do that as much because my patients know me. I did that 15 years ago. So if you're a young dentist and you're an associate, like, use that opportunity not to make as much money as possible. Use that opportunity to hone your skills. And when I talk about hone your skills, is not hone your skills just like communication wise. Try what works. Learn about what works. Learn about nonverbal communication with people. But more importantly, like, how do you become a full arch dentist if that's what you want to do? Take out a shit ton of teeth. Give out bone grafts for really cheap. So you'll learn how to pack bone. You learn how to manipulate flaps. You learn how to do multiple different types of sutures. Because I can tell you, when you see full arch dentists and they show you their flap wide open and they have all of those implants put in, that is the easiest part of the procedure. The hardest part is how are you going to put it back together so that it looks good and it stays good. And I always tell my team, I'm like, this is the most important part, how we put everything back together. It's doing the screw, dude, anybody could do that.
Love it,
it's a
man.
bit like one of the guys I used to go to dental school said, it's a big post and core. It's a huge post and core, not that hard. But to put everything back together, to manipulate the tissue so that it has tension in certain areas and no tension in other areas, and it stays where you want it to stay and it thickens where you want it to thicken, that is everything about full arch dentistry. Because you can see people that are doing full arch dentistry, you look at their cases, the tissue is gone, completely gone, like 6 months, 8 years. And that's why when I show my post-ops, I don't care about the x-ray. The x-ray is for dentists that treat teeth. When I post my x-rays, like, look at my tissue. That is everything. If the tissue stayed, that means I designed my prosthesis correctly. I educated my patient correctly on hygiene. I maintained them correctly. My occlusion is correct. All of this stuff, that everything comes into it. And really, I would say that probably like real implant dentistry. And when I say about real implant dentistry, is not oral surgery implant dentistry, periodontics implant dentistry, general dentistry implant dentistry, but a real implantologist implant dentistry that involves surgery, restorative dentistry, and lab. That is probably the hardest thing in all of dentistry. So yes, the money is fun. I want to do what you do. Hell yeah, I also want to go to the marathon, to the Ironman, and wait at the finish line and cross with you. But that's not the way it works, man. You gotta really, really study your craft. And if you don't study your craft, you're never gonna be great. You're gonna get burned. And that's what happens. People get burned. And It's not fair because there's a lot of money involved.
You know, you're so true about the money involved, because people are actually putting their houses, they're taking out like HELOCs from their houses, right? And their homes where they live. And they're trying to get this procedure done. If you are like one of those weekend warriors, I mean, you got to understand there are limitations. And I love the fact that you like hone onto your skills.
Yeah, you know, we talk so poorly about our dentist friends that go and take a course on the weekend. I mean, when else do you want them to take it? Like, the weekend is when they're not treating their patient, when they're able to like breathe. But I think weekend warrior is probably we're referring to somebody who went Friday and Saturday and then decided he's an expert.
No, that's exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's important for us to say that, because like, when else do you want me to take a course? MDs also take courses on weekends, you know?
Hey, I did all the weekends, you know, I did like several weekends, right? And nothing wrong with that, but I never called myself an expert till I did not put in the hours and the years.
Amen.
Into getting that craft, like, you know, like perfected. You went from your office. So let's dive into your XCell process, man. I mean, I love this stuff here. I've been using it for about a year. I'm sold. I mean, I tried so many different systems out there. I mean, this is like no joke. I even had like my lab guy coming out do photogrammetry for me. But ever since I started using your product, photogrammetry is out of the window. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
How did you get started with this?
Oh man, like I mentioned before, when I was doing full arch dentistry, I was doing it like everybody else. You know, take the teeth out, place the implants, do a denture conversion, grind the shit out of the denture, trying to make it fit. Patient always ended up like this. Then patient goes home after that grueling 16-hour surgery, comes back. You got to take everything off. Hopefully it didn't fail. And then start all over again, start taking all the records and the bite ribs and the wax and the this. And I said to myself, if I'm going to scale this process is not scalable, impossible. Like, imagine I did 20, 30 arches a month like that. Like, okay, the surgery you can do, you know, but how are you going to restore it? You know, and I think that implant dentistry hasn't changed before I started pushing this whole digital thing, which I believe I was really the first one that ever did this. And I'll tell you about this in a second, but implant dentistry didn't change because it was controlled by surgeons. And surgeons just placed the implants, gave them the immediate denture, and it was someone else's problem.
Correct.
All of the funds were usually eaten up by the surgery, and the restorative dentist, which was usually the general dentist or the prosthodontist, had to like deal with whatever money, small money was left for the patient to restore them. And it was a loss leader. The lab bills were, for a good hybrid, was anywhere between $7,500 to $12,000. That's what it cost. And I would say 2008, 2009, that's what you had to pay. The components were crazy. Gold was crazy. Zirconia wasn't as nice. And if you did use zirconia, you had to use it as a substructure. And then the guy had to layer the whole thing. And then everything broke 2 years later. And it was just like, this is not fun. Like, I'm just going to do scaling and replating a single crown with my CEREC, and I'm going to call it a day. Like, I don't need the stress in my life, but I loved it. I loved doing it. So I said to myself, enough. I need to figure this out. And I literally deep dove into digital dentistry. And I think that when the Trios came out, Trios 3, and when the Roland machines started to become actually affordable, not 50, but Roland 51 became available, it was actually financially feasible for us to actually do something like this. The problem is in 2015, 2016, when I started inquiring about this stuff, everybody said to me, no, it doesn't work. And I said to myself, we do full arch of teeth with a scanner. Why doesn't it work with implant? And the literature continuously, even to today, or even the people that have photogrammetry will say it is not possible. And I just take out the thousands of x-rays that I have and I show it to them and I show them the post-ops, and it is possible. And in 2024, like, I don't need to do that anymore. But in 2016, 2015, when I started to teach this, everybody said I've doctored my x-rays. I lied about the cases. It wasn't true. And it was just like, as I started amassing the cases, people started saying, whoa. So the first thing I started doing was, how am I going to acquire the data correctly? It wasn't even about manufacturing or designing yet. I needed to master how do I acquire it? And I started studying what was wrong with the intraoral scanner. And to today, what's wrong with an intraoral scanner? I solved that problem. Then I went into the manufacturing because I wasn't really interested in design. And design was like, I felt like it was root canals. If you don't do it every single day, you don't spend the time. And it was too cheap to outsource. Even to today, it's just so cheap to outsource it. So I started doing manufacturing because manufacturing was the bottleneck that stopped me. When you send it to the lab, they used to say to you, it's going to be ready in 2 weeks. And when I started visiting labs, I'd never been inside a lab. And what you realize that happens in a lab is they have these little bins and they're stacked up one next to each other. And say today is Friday and the due date is Sunday. It hasn't been, it's been sitting there for about 12 days and they work on it on the last 2 days. And I said, well, why are you making me wait 2 weeks? Why can't I just schedule it correctly so that it takes you because it really only takes you 2 days to do it? Because I used to think that they worked on my case for 2 weeks straight. And I'm like, how are they making any money? Like 2 weeks, they're charging me $100 a crown, doesn't make any sense. And then I started realizing how labs are. They don't have a good management system. That's why it takes them 2 weeks to do it, especially smaller labs. So I started looking into manufacturing. I said, well, if I can buy a mill at that, because when I started, the mills used to cost $500,000 and they were massive, probably the size of this office that I'm sitting in today. And I'm like, most dental offices don't have room. Most dental offices, I would assume, I haven't been in a lot of dental offices, but probably 1,000, 1,200 square feet, I would say, an average dental office, right? If you're like in the middle of nowhere, real estate is free. You could have $1 million, if you're in Manhattan, you work like this.
Right.
Anyhow, so I started getting into manufacturing. That was pretty eye-opening because I thought I had a CEREC and I knew how to manufacture, which is not true. So I really started studying this, and manufacturing and milling is really something that it's a craft, it's an art. And even as much as just last night, we figured something else out to make the workflow even easier for people. And this is like I told you before we got on the air, yesterday was like massive eye-opening, like so many breakthroughs that came through in milling, design, acquisition, like crazy stuff that I'm going to be showing in August at Full Arch Raw, that was like, wow. And I'm like, I can't believe I was doing it the other way this whole time. And I know if I didn't figure out, nobody's figuring it out, because I work with people all the time and they have no idea to this day. Everybody's just like taking little pieces, and they're not weekend warriors. You know what they are? Social media warriors. They look on the internet, they see a picture, they see a video, and they think they know it. Like I told somebody, you need to come to my course in August. He said, oh, I'm really busy. I have this, I have that. In the meantime, doesn't know how to mill, doesn't know how to acquire, doesn't know. He goes, well, in the meantime, I'll just be looking at the stuff you pump out on social media. I'm like, dude, the stuff I show on social media is not even less than 1% of what I'm doing. And it's done for a reason. Why would I show you everything? It's bad for business. You know? So anyhow, so I started doing manufacturing, and we cracked that code. And then we started, and just lately I started doing designing to crack that code. And when I cracked that code, it's not about learning how to do it. It's learning about how to do it efficiently. Because, you know, at the end of the day, I'd rather be doing podcasts with you. I'd rather be on Google. I'd rather be on playing basketball with my son. I'd rather be swimming. I'd rather be doing something else other than standing in front of a computer doing this. But if I can do it really, really quickly and really, really efficiently and really, really well, why wouldn't I take that on?
Exactly. So your manufacturing, what made you start with that, man? I mean, like, you know, like a lot of dentists, they'll be like, hey, I can just give it to my lab, or I can just order it from here. Like, what was the thought process behind you with saying, hey, I want to manufacture this thing here, and I don't want a third party doing it?
I would say that I don't know if the word paranoid is, but I have this fear that one day everything's going to be taken away. And I feel that if I'm not prepared for disaster will eat me alive. And in my career, I've had a lot of disasters, to the point where I almost lost my whole career when I injured my arm, where I defied all odds, and I wasn't supposed to operate for 6 months to a year. I was operating in 3 weeks because I took my health in my own hand. And in terms of manufacturing specifically, when COVID hit, and I had 90 days where I could not produce $1 in my practice, yet I had all of these full arches that I had started that were timed to be restored. Now, if I have 20 arches that need to be restored, 20 arches that take $5,000 an arch. Do the math, $100K, right? Yeah, $100K. And that's each month. That's $300,000 that I would have had to come up with out of my operating account when the practice is not making any money to restore these patients. And if I hadn't set up myself to be able to manufacture this on my own, with my own time, which all I had was time during COVID, who knows if I would still be open? Who knows if I would have the savings that I have? Who knows if I would have had what I had? Who knows? Because, you know, dentistry is almost like a restaurant business. If you don't plan correctly, you could be done in a month. If you don't have the reserves to be able to be there, and in full arch dentistry, it's not like general dentistry where you'll just keep cranking the single crowns. You could have a CEREC. You can outsource the crown to China for like, I don't know, $20, $10 and still survive. Right. But when you're in full arch game, like there's no laboratory that's not going to do this for like less than $3,000 that you would be proud of putting this in the mouth, right? An average 5,000, a good one, 10,000. Like that's just what it costs. Now you have no income and you owe these people these restorations and that money is gone. What are you doing? So I felt that was the first thing. And the other thing is that I really enjoy it. Like I told you in the beginning, I felt like a hypocrite when I put it into people's mouth. And it wasn't me that did it. Because the patients don't know that there's a lab technician behind it. They're like, when they think the lab, they think it's a room in your office. They think it's all you. And when they said, oh my God, Dr. John, you did such a good job. They never say that when they look at the x-rays of my implants, where they look at the margins of my crowns, because that's really what means we did a good job. Our impression was right. Our placement was correct. But they don't look at the thickness of our tissue. They don't look at the occlusion. They don't know any of this stuff. They just look at the aesthetics of the teeth. And I never did that. it's hypocritical on a daily
Exactly.
basis. So again, my dream was always to work with a lab technician in my office, but we just don't speak the same language. Dentists and lab technicians don't speak the same language on a general basis. They just don't. There's like this massive animosity. The technician's taking too much from the dentist. The dentist is making too much compared to the lab. And it's this constant battle. And I tried, man. I tried for years to get people to work. I've had in-house lab technicians. I've had conversations with labs. They're not bad people. We just speak two completely different languages and we're doing the exact same thing. So for me, I just felt like it wasn't going to be successful. So I needed to figure out how to do that. And I'm also very impatient. Like if I put in a prototype on Monday, I want to finish the case on Thursday. That's just the way I don't want to think about it anymore. I finish the case, on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. And that's the freedom that this gives me. I love freedom.
I love it.
I hate owing anybody money. I hate having to rely on somebody else. And there's so many things we have to rely on as it is in a dental office. The less I have to rely, the better it is for me.
That's awesome. So what's next for you and your XCell products? I mean, I'm always looking forward, like what's coming up.
So, like we came out with the two latest things that we came out with is I redesigned the scan body. I was the first one to ever invent and patent a cup-specific scan body. Scan body is one of the biggest errors that intraoral scans has is that the scan body isn't picked up correctly. So with my THS caps, they will always be picked up and the triangles will always be perfect. So we came up with the THS scan body. When I originally made it, I put a really small head on top to be able to temporize very easily. But we found in some cases that if you scan too fast, because it's so small, the scanner doesn't pick it up as sharp. So what we did was we changed the head to be our beloved JA scan body, which was my original scan body. It still has the different cuff heights. It has the different colors. I've also invented something called the power tack screw that it allows you to.
I love those.
Reference your bite, reference your pre-op and post-op. We made it in two pieces. You can even use the power tack screw if you buy the one piece as a bone generation guide to be able to let you to tack a bone out. It's the only bone tacking screw that is multi-directional, that you don't have to screw it in like with a Phillips head and go straight through.
Right.
It has my Powerball head on top, so you can change the angle to 30 degrees. So if the patient is back there and you can't get your instrument back, you can still angle it and be able to get it in. So imagine going like this to the side of the head and not having to put the screw through the patient's cheek. And that's really it. We have Powerball 2.0, which surprisingly a lot of people haven't jumped on. I think it's just a really better screw. I have the 1.0 is amazing.
What's the difference with the 1.0 and 2.0?
Yeah. So the difference between 1.0 and 2.0 is that the screw is exactly the same. The difference is the shaft on the inside has one extra feature. As our world is going to hell, is on fire, as I call it, money is getting very, very tight. And you know that it's getting tight in full arch dentistry because what's happening is the companies are investing so much money in what we call these resin materials to be able to print in-house, to be able to generate this in-house. And really, that's really led by people not having enough money to pay for full arches. And dentists need to figure, because they don't know how to mill, because they don't know how to layer porcelain, they know how to do composite. So if they can buy a printer for $10,000 and they can use a resin that's as strong as enamel, if not stronger, then it should make sense and I should start to use it. The problem is that how do they hold these things in? And if you use a tie base on any printed or PMMA material, it just doesn't work. It will debond, it will break. Less on resin, we're more on PMMA, but when it does debond, the restoration is cooked. So what we found was these restorations innately, resin more than PMMA, because again, PMMA, you still got a mill, but more people are using resins. Innately, these resins, they're flexible. It's just the way they are. They're very, very, very flexible. And what happens is when the patient actually occludes on these, the restoration microscopically goes like this.
Sure.
When the restoration microscopically goes like this, your screw goes like that. And then you're more likely to have screw loosening with any screw. Now, you'll have the least amount of screw loosening with my screw. So what we've done is we've created this extra screw loosening feature that you can use if you want. And the way that you would want to use it is if you actually torque Powerball 2.0 to 20 Newton centimeters, it acts exactly like Powerball 1.0. It uses the Powerball head to clamp down the restoration and hold everything down. Now, if you have a restoration that you're like, I know this guy isn't going to be in a long-term temp, or I know this guy's in zirconia and he's really grinding and he's more likely to screw loosening, the second you go to 25, the screw just goes just slightly deeper into the seat, and it engages a very, very small 5-degree cone to allow it to have that extra screw loosening feature. And that's really the difference.
Oh,
the
wow.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it could go up to 25.
Yes. Powerball 2.0, I torque to 25 all the time.
Amazing.
I want that extra feature.
And that's not available in 1.0.
No, because it's not part of the 1.0, the 1.0 body. The 1.0 body is a parallel shaft. And the reason it's a parallel shaft is because all of the forces, instead of going to the thread, it will go to the thicker part of the Powerball, which is right under the head of the Powerball. And you'll see when Powerball screw breaks, it never breaks deep down like all other abutment screws, which you can never get out. It will break right at the top so that you can actually use an Explorer and just turn it out. You can see it.
Wow.
Designed that way. A lot of people don't know. They're like, oh, I buy the Powerball screw. It's a good screw. It's bigger. It looks great. But there's so many things that I built into this. Why? Because I had problems. I'm a practicing dentist. And you said in the past, you tried so many different systems.
Exactly.
All the other systems are not invented by dentists. And if they are, quote unquote, invented by dentists, they either copied me or they're just regurgitating corporate words. That's just the truth. And they know it and I know it. And my system was developed from the ground up. From my years of experience and my years of messing up and my years of learning what's right and what's wrong and really building all that in. And for us as dentists to rely on some engineer at Nobel, at Straumann, at 3i, at Zimmer, at all of these implant companies to actually create anything is ridiculous because they don't live what we live.
Correct.
They don't live. That's why I would say the best practice management software is the one created by a dentist. The best impression material is probably the one created by a dentist, right? All of these things that dentists create is because we know the problem and nobody can understand. I can tell you my problem, right, Doc? But if you don't live my problem, your head's not going to be like this. You're going to be like, what is he talking about? But the whole podcast, you're going like this because you live my life and I live your life. Man. We live together. We have the same issues. I don't care where in the world you are. It's the same thing. And it
reminds me of that part when one day when I was ordering those THS scan bodies, remember that tack screw? And then I can't remember if you remember or not, but I was like using breadcrumbs and those little breadcrumbs that like all over the place. And when I saw that THS, I'm like, all right, what do I do with this THS? Is it a scan body or is it, I use it for reference and you were like, hey, you can use it for both. And I was like, man, this is awesome. I mean, these are the kind of things that I was like, just wowed by when I saw your products. Seriously.
Yeah, and tell me if true or false. Are you wowed about it because you think it's cool or are you wowed about it because it solved the problem that you had?
It solved every single issues I had with full arch. So my photogrammetry, that's the first thing I was telling you. My photogrammetry went out the window. I mean, what's the point? I mean, literally, I can say this factually that you saved me 40 grand from investing into one, right? I was having my lab guy come in and he kept telling me, hey, why don't you go buy one? You go buy one. And I have multiple locations. I cannot buy a photogrammetry for every single location. It doesn't make sense. And your
when
system
they drop
helped
it,
me
it's
scale.
over.
My man, I mean, I can say that wholeheartedly, your system helped me scale every single location. So thank you, man.
I'm so happy to hear that because, one of my, what I told you in the beginning about changing the brand of dentistry, dentists they practice by themselves. At least for me, I'm a solo practitioner. I have a small team. I have one office. I'm busy enough. Thank God. I don't know. I used to have 3 offices. It was too much for me. It doesn't work for my brain. But one of the goals that I created for this was like, there's just so many patients I can treat. There's just so many lives that I can change. But if I can create something that other dentists can use, not only will I make the dentist's life easier, but they will change other people's lives. So whenever I see a restoration with my Powerball screw that use my system, you do not understand how happy it makes me. Not because you send me $200 to buy these parts. I don't give a shit about that. That's not what I'm in it for.
Right.
It's because I can change your life, and I can be like, when I die, you'll remember that I had an impact on you and I never met you in person. And your patient that's walking around with a restoration with my screw or my process, I made an impact on them through you. And to me, that's everything. That's my reason, other than my family, that's my reason for being. If I can make an impact on people and make the world a better place with what I thought of that God gave me, I'm good. I'm happy.
Amen.
That's all I want.
That's preach, man. Hey, so I want to end with this one thing here. You got a course coming up in August. What's that about? And who's it for?
Yes. So it's fullarchraw.com. It's going to be in Miami, Florida on August 8th and 9th. I am going to be partnering with one of my students, Dr. Ryan Dunlop, who has really taken digital dentistry to another level, to a point where him and I get the same results. Mine's better, but him and I try to find the same result, but he does it in a completely different manner. And when I talk about a different manner, that means that the way that he acquires data, the way that he manufactures, the size of the people that he uses, meaning how big is his office, right? He's taken his methods and created a massive institute to be able to do that, and gives courses all the time. And that's what he loves to do. He has multiple associates, and it teaches, and what you'll learn is you'll be able to learn full arch digital dentistry, from marketing, from acquisition, from milling, from how to, I have a section on how to close. If a patient says to you, I need to talk to my wife, what do you say to them? You say, okay, fine, call me back. Patient says, oh, let me think about it. What do you say? And in full arch dentistry, it's different than a single crown. And I'll have a whole section on how to close. I'll have a whole section. Ryan's going to do a whole section on marketing. I'm going to be doing a section on intraoral scan. I can say to you, I'm going to say this. If you're like brand new in this game, it's going to be way over your head.
Got it.
If you want to be like, wow, come. If you're in this game and you're like, I've done a couple arches, I want to scale these arches, I don't know what to buy, how to do it, where I should go, intraoral, photogrammetry, if I should even go into this, which is probably everybody in this world, come to this. If you're just a general dentist that doesn't even want to have anything to do with full arch, not for you. If you're a general dentist that doesn't know what an intraoral scanner is, this is not for you. If you're a general dentist that doesn't understand what a multi-unit abutment is, this is not for you. If you're a general dentist that does implant dentistry, that does full arch dentistry, not at a crazy level, even if you do one arch a month or one arch a year, and you understand that you would love to do more of it because you enjoy it, this is where you want to go to, because it's going to be like a fire hose. Because usually I give my course 2 days by myself. I now have to share the stage with somebody else and give the same amount of information.
So someone attending better be prepared.
You gotta sleep a week before you come for this, but this is gonna be, it's gonna be the truth. There's no corporate sponsors at all. There's nothing wrong with, there's nothing wrong with sponsors. But we wanted to be able to just disseminate 100% the truth. That's it. Like, this is what it is. This is what we're gonna do. This is what we do. And you can ask any question. The location is unbelievable. We rented out a movie theater, super high-end movie theater with reclining seats. You're going to have your private waiter come and bring you food, unlimited popcorn, unlimited drinks. We're going to have curated. It's not going to be like slopped food. You're going to order from a menu. They're going to bring it to your seat. It's going to be like super high-end. Wait a minute.
You're going to have this course in a movie theater? Oh, man, that's awesome.
Show. This is a show. And it's not just random movie theater with shitty seats. These are this is like, imagine like Emirates
like
first
a reclining
class
couch
seat.
and stuff.
Full reclining couch, full table, full food, unlimited popcorn, because this is really going to be a show. And it's going to be something in dentistry that nobody's ever done. And mark my words, after I do this course, everyone's going to rent a movie theater because it's genius. The screen is huge. The seats are amazing. The seats are amazing. Everything is just going to be great. The food is there. The location is in Miami, Florida. I mean, why not? We have like just a couple. We have a couple spots left. I think there's like 7 or 8 spots left, and then it's over. I can't add your chair anymore. But you legit, if you're not going to come for the education, come for the entertainment because you're going to love this.
You said August 7th and 8th, right?
August 8th and 9th, Thursday,
8th
Friday.
and 9th. Okay.
8th and 9th. Not a weekend. 8th and 9th. You get the weekend
Got
to
it.
chill with your family.
Got it. August 8th and 9th. Let me see. That's a Thursday and a Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You're enticing me on this here.
You, your friends, anybody who's going to come, I'm telling
Got
you,
it.
this is going to be, it's even a time to just relax with like-minded
Sure.
people. With like-minded people. Because the people, I can tell you, the people that registered, they are amazing. Like these guys
Okay.
are, this is like the people that, like, you want to be with the best. It's like a mastermind of the best that come to these courses because they know. And to be the best, you want to be with the best so that you can be better and better and better.
All righty. I'm definitely going to try my best to block that calendar, man. I mean, this sounds amazing. Who else than the guy who's actually I'm using his system, right?
You have all the answers in front of you. The only one that can
Right.
stop you is yourself.
Exactly. 1000%. Hey, Jonathan, thank you so much. I mean, this was an honor and a pleasure to hear your story and the whole process. This is such a great thing.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
I'm definitely going to put your link up and also the link to the course as well. So any last tips before you go?
All I could say is we live in a world of social media where what you think you see is real and it may or may not give you anxiety about it. All I can say to you is love what you do, have passion, and I promise you everything will work out. Don't worry about all the noise. Don't worry about everything else. There's going to be challenges, but you can barrel right through them as long as you love what you do, you are passionate, and you have the right people around you. So check those 3 boxes, and I promise you will be successful.
Man, that's preach right there. Appreciate you.
Thank
Thanks
you
a
so
lot.
much. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, everyone, we're going to land the plane. This was an amazing episode. Definitely check us out on our next one and make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.